morning, friends. Welcome to the Friday Edge. If I were to ask you who you are in one brief statement, what would you say? You might say, oh, I'm a teacher, or I'm a fireman, or I work at a church, or I run a business. You know, who we are is not what we do. And if you could imagine with me for just a moment an empty room, and let's take for instance an office. So what is the main thing in an office? Probably most of us would agree that a desk is the main thing in an office, or in a kitchen it's the table, or in a garage it's the car. Now those are all really great things and they certainly are essentials, but when I look at our lives and I imagine how God created each one of us, what do we imagine that He thought when He created you? You know, I always picture that God held a mirror over here to the side, and then He looked to the drawing board and He created you, and He said, you know what? I see this part of my attributes in me, and I'm going to put it in you. And we're all unique and different, and we all have different combinations of who God is, but we all represent a piece of who He is. We all have a part of Him in us. And I love that. You know, a lot of us have our identity and who we are all wrapped up in what we do. The thing about that is that it's not really who we are. Who we are is that center core. It's that thing, that underlying current. It's the backbone. It's the one thing. It's like the car in the garage, or the table in the kitchen, or the desk in the office. What is that? What is that center core of your being that makes you who you are? And you know, one of the things that I have noticed throughout my life, and that is something that has actually been pretty challenging for me, and I just wanted to put it out there, is that sometimes when we may know who we really are, and we see our personality, and we see the things, the passion maybe that's inside us, and sometimes when we really are who we are and we're around people, not everybody loves that side of who we are. They don't love that essence of how we were created. And so it makes us want to quit being that person. You know, I wrote in an email earlier this week, I remember so clearly when I was in high school, I was sitting in the library one day, and I had the librarian who, you know, bless her heart, she was just trying to keep order in the library. And, you know, of course in the library you're not supposed to talk. Well, a group of friends and I were quietly talking about a project we were working on, and she came over to our table and she looked very sternly at each one of us and said, "So what exactly are you talking about? Would you like to let everyone else know?" And she looked around the table and nobody answered, so I answered. And I told her what we were talking about. And she gave me the most unkind look, and she said, "What, are you the spokesperson for the group?" Now, I can laugh at that now, but do you know that in that moment I decided I don't want to be a leader. I don't want to be the spokesperson or responsible for a group of people, because when I do, I get called out, and I feel bad about myself being that way. So I guess I'll just push that to the side, and I'll just kind of play it safe behind the scenes. You know, we do those things in our life and we don't even realize that it creates a way of thinking in us that is not healthy, and it isn't lined up with who God made us to be at the very core of our being. You know, I believe when God created me, He said, I'm going to put a lot of passion inside Geneva. I'm going to put my love of how I love people in expressive ways, and in emotional ways and in speaking encouragement, I'm going to put that side of me into her. And that's how she's going to communicate. In fact, I'm going to have her be a communicator with people. So when you look at your life and you look at who you are and what part of God He has put in you, what are those things? Are you creative? I'm creative and I love creativity. Are you bold? Are you quiet and peaceful and still in your spirit? And you bring peace wherever you go? Maybe you can come into hard situations and speak words of peace and hope to people who are going through difficult times. What is the essence of who you are? What part of God has He put in you? The cool thing about this is that He not only puts those attributes of who He is into us, when He looks at that mirror and then He goes to the drawing board to create us, way back before we ever were even born, He did this. But He equips us to walk those things out. He gives us the tools. He makes a way. But the human side of us and that devil that is out there wants to always distract us and take us off course and plant seeds of doubt in our mind. Oh, that's not who you really are. People don't like when you're that way. You just need to take a step back. You need to just kind of play it safe. You know, that's not how we were created. We were created beautiful, with intent and purpose, for a reason. To live a life of significance here on the earth. So when we come back to who we really are at the very core of our being, who is that? And are we really living that out? Are we really being that person at the core of our heart and our being that God made us to be? Not what somebody else wants us to be, but who He made us to be. Do we believe Him and trust Him in that? I can tell you that when we live in that place of believing what He says about us, there's something remarkable that happens. Who I am has been, you might look at me and think, wow, she's confident, she has it all together. But in all honesty, this has been one of the hardest things for me, because I want people to like me. I want people to approve of me. And I've realized that not everybody is going to do that. But what I have realized also is that it has become way more important for me to be true to who God has made me to be and to follow the purpose that He has on my life, and for me to walk out and to give and to bless and to serve the people around me and the people that God puts in my path. That is way more important to me than getting the approval of people. So this morning, I hope that these words encourage you to be who you are and to live life to the fullest. And that when we discover that piece of who we really are and we embrace, not only discover it, but when we walk in it, there's something remarkable that happens. That God has a way of taking that, what we have, and making it something beautiful if we allow Him to. So we would love to hear from you. It was really great to just spend a few moments with you this morning, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you again for watching, and I really look forward to being with you again next week on the Friday Edge.